I just really appreciate everybody coming out and just for our first media day, and just really looking forward to a great season. It's going to be a little different. We lose a lot of veterans, but we gain a lot of depth and young people in the program. So we have a balance of really experienced and mature upperclassmen, and adding that group of youth and depth will make for a very interesting season. Yeah, I mean, we're adding really 2 more guards. Mooch has been here. We've had the 3 starters here, and then you throw Eliza and Leisha into the mix, with Tierra not being able to go anymore. So it's not as though we, change our backcourt, altogether, but it gives us 2 more pieces of the puzzle that haven't been there that are very athletic. Leisha's a great scorer. Eliza's a great defender. They're great transition guards. So we add, some pieces that we haven't had, and with that depth, I think we're able to play a little bit faster. We've been working a lot on pressing, a lot in transition with working different types of looks than we've had last year, and letting them play a little bit. And I think we're kind of in the stage of saying how much can we roll the ball out and let them go, and how much, at what points do we need to kind of rein them back. And I think between now and early, late November, we'll have more of a balance of what that's going to look like for us. But we're letting them go a little bit now just to kind of see what that, I think that's probably more conducive to the type of personnel that we have. We always talked about it, just the consistency, and Lex knows it, and we'll say it right up here. I think she's been focusing, coming off the 21 and under team and playing with those great players. I think she understands the level she has to play at, especially not having Dev and Ash, to kind of take some of that off of her a little bit from the guard spot, and really from all of our guards, is more scoring, more rebounding, just more consistency. And we talked about, joke about, 37 against Stanford and then 6 against somebody else. It's really day in and day out having those consistent numbers from the scoring.
So you're saying you like 37 every game?
That would be great. I'm gonna tell her not to do that, but just having a better balance in her stat line, and at times we talked to Lex about how she would disappear in games, and there's none of that this year. She has to really set her mind to being just a very obvious person on the floor for us, and she can do that. And I think in practice I've noticed just with her rebounding, that's kind of where I see her constantly standing out from that guard spot. Not that LG is going to give up any of that action, but she's trying, and the consistent scoring, which she's been able to do in practice, and probably being a little bit more selfish in that area. We've looked at a couple of different people, some from the pros, some from the college ranks. Because we're quick and athletic, trying to do a lot more ball screen stuff, maybe score earlier in the possessions when we can. We can get to the basket a little bit better this year. We can afford, maybe, I always say this, but not really, afford a little bit of foul trouble if we have to, if we're going to press a little bit more and take some risk and stuff like that. Not that we want to live in foul trouble, but we can bite on it every now and then. So allowing them to kind of play and get to the basket and do some of those things. And to be honest, we're shooting the ball well. The 3 that are sitting up here with me have been shooting the ball great. Leisha's a great shooter. We got some post players that can now extend us to the free throw line 17 feet. So we've added an element there that we could look different in terms of stretching the defense a little bit. Yeah, you don't know. It's still so early. Like on Friday, I would have said, what did I do with scheduling? But on Wednesday, 4 days later, you're like, oh, okay. So, we're just at a point, I think sometimes you have to look at your program and just say, where's your program? Even though you're young and old, it is where we are. And we want to keep building and getting better and keeping the national recognition attached to our program and all that. So I think no matter how old or how young, we're going to have to play some of those teams. And it's good to play them in November, because if you get challenged and thumped in November, you know where you have to go. So I don't ever want to give up the opportunity just because we're young not to be challenged a little bit. What's so funny is that not thinking and not knowing and rotations and who you're recruiting here, we end up playing 2 really good teams with post players, Ohio State and maybe we're looking down the schedule trying to find more guard-oriented teams, but you can, and you just go with the flow. And so our posts will be really challenged in those games because they're going to come up against great post players. But in the end, you hope that those games will then, in January, when they're facing a Jana Pell or some of the other great post players in the conference, it's not the first time they're seeing them. And that was the whole premise behind scheduling like that. It hasn't been determined yet. We're really just laying everything out. You know, we're doing a couple of different things this year, so we've been putting some new things in and just letting them go with it. Obviously, the upperclassmen, you know, pick things up a lot easier than the freshmen do, but they're not bad. I would say, actually, I think it was a Friday, our first day of practice, I was like, oh boy, we've got a long way to go. But by Wednesday, you know, they're retaining a lot of stuff, and they're getting it, and it's not every day, but, you know, just with a young group, you have to do a lot of muscle memory and kind of pull back a little bit and a lot of repetitions, and that's what we've been trying to do. So I think everybody's pretty equal right now. I wouldn't say that there's one person that just stands out in the group. It's just every day you just see a little bit more from each of them. Yeah, but we didn't. I think the difference is we didn't have senior guards to go with that youth. And now, you know, if you ever, you know, ask somebody what would you rather have as seniors, is guard play or post play? Well, right now I'd much rather have the guard play and just bring the post along. So our veterans are in the guards with that experience, and you know, the ball's in their hands at end of game situations and crucial situations. So as decision makers and things like that, it's different than that look that we had when we were, you know, a group 4 years ago. She will, you know, I said that to the post players right now. The advantage that Leja and Eliza have is that every rep they get to look at Tasha or LG or Lexi and learn, and you know, and have some experience out there showing them different things. And right now Rama's in the training room and in the weight room, and you know, she's not out there you know, being able to kind of guide them and show them some things. So you got the four of them out there, you know, with Jen trying to, you know, just learn from mistakes, and so they're at a little bit of a disadvantage in that way. And so when she gets back and you know, is able to practice hard and give them some leadership out there, and that will obviously, I think, move them along further too. I would tend to think that all of those freshmen are going to get minutes. To the degree of who gets more than the others, honestly, I wish I could sit there and say, you know, I know for sure, but I don't. Just the rotations are not really set, and to be honest, where the posts are, they all bring different things to the table. You couldn't get a more diverse group, and so on certain days, one of them really stands out because we're working on offense, and the next time, you know, somebody really stands out because we're working on defense. And so, but there's not anybody that's so far ahead that I would say they're out of the mix of contributing. I mean, I think they all will contribute. Some of it is the fit and the chemistry of which two are working well together, and you know, what we're bringing to the table and all that. And so again, they're pretty close in a lot of things. I mean, Jen Brandon is a ridiculous athlete and stands out offensively. I mean, really stands out offensively. And then there's others that stand out defensively, and then there's others that can extend the defense because they can shoot the high post jumper. So, you know, I'm just not really sure yet where we are with that. I don't know. You know, ultimately you want to get to where you have an established starting group. I wouldn't say by any means that we know what that looks like right now. So for the, you know, the exhibition games and maybe the first game or so, that might change accordingly. But you know, we're only a week or 10 days into practice, so it's hard to even say who that might be.